Client-based attacks. Phishing. An attempt to steal sensitive data via electronic communications by being disguised as a trustworthy internet resource is called as phishing. Phishing can be done by either of the following methods: redirection using localhost, redirection using server, base64 encoding, host file manipulation, and full screen API. The first method is redirection using localhost. Before stepping further, one must know what localhost is. Localhost refers to the default name of the computer, that is 127.0.0.1, which is also called the local host or loopback address. Each system has a distinct system name, say System 1, and a unique IP address, say for instance 192.168.1.9. To make a system act as a server, one needs to install XAMPP. XAMPP is a cross-platform server stack consisting of a mail server, file server, web server, and a database server. Once installed, the XAMPP control panel can be opened. This now allows starting the Apache server, which will make your system act as a web server. As seen earlier, a web server is the one responsible for handling requests and responses. Let us see what happens when we type www.gmail.com into the browser. The request is handled by the DNS server, which translates the hostname to the IP address and redirects the request to the corresponding server. The server holds many files from which the default index.html file is fetched as the response. Similarly, when we type in localhost in the browser, the request is handled by a server running on the same system called the local host. This displays the XAMPP page as a response fetching its contents from the htdocs folder in the XAMPP server. When the content of this page is replaced with that of the Gmail phishing page, the response thrown for the request of the local host would be the Gmail phishing page. So, how do you create this phishing page content? This can be done in just 2 steps. Crafting the fake page. Go to the browser and type in gmail.com. Save the page in the htdocs folder after deleting the existing content with the name index.html. Making it work. Open Notepad, paste this piece of code, save it as mail.php in the htdocs folder. Thus your phishing page content is ready. When you type localhost in the browser, it will now fetch a Gmail phishing page. When a username and password is typed in, a request gets generated that points to the Gmail server for authentication. Uh-oh, what is happening? Rewinding back, when the Gmail phishing page, that is index.html file, was saved as such, the action attribute of the form holds the link that points to the Gmail server for authentication. So what can be done to redirect this request? Replacing this link with that of mail.php and saving it will redirect the request to the local host server for authentication, which will be handled by mail.php. What happens when the request reaches mail.php? This piece of code redirects the victim to the original Gmail page while the request parameters, such as username and password, are captured. This piece of code creates a new file named log.txt in the htdocs folder and logs the user input such as username and password. Thus, you have completed a phishing attack. Now, when other systems within the network access the local host, it opens the Gmail phishing page. When a user keys in the login credentials, it gets logged and appended onto the log.txt file. Similarly, when the other systems, say System 2 and System 3, keys in their login credentials, the data gets logged and appended to the log.txt file. Redirection using server. This system, which is acting as a server in the LAN, can be connected to the internet directly without address translation. Now, share your IP address with the victim. When the victim accesses your IP, it leads them to the phishing page hosted on your system.